man. Thanks so much. You are listening to The Frangie Show. Frank is on vacation. He won't be back until Monday, but JJ LaSelva is here. I am Hays Carlyon. And we've got a lot of stuff to get to today. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to have Florida sideline reporter Tate Casey joining us in our next segment. So in about 30 minutes, you'll hear from Tate Casey. The Gators SEC Media Days, that's a week away. Napier, Mertz, Shamar James, Montrell Johnson will meet with the media in Dallas. 1010XL will be there. Frank Frangie will be there with Mia O'Brien and Matt Hayes. So we'll certainly look forward to all their fantastic coverage. But looking forward to catching up with Tate today to get his thoughts on really a variety of issues with the Gator football team. And we'll see what Tate thinks as we get close to a crossroads year for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll do headlines at 5 o'clock. And I want to talk about Florida State's future. We'll do that towards the bottom of the second hour. So should be a fun show. We're looking forward to it, and thank you for joining us. JJ, how are you today? Everything good?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, very good. Well, let's dive right in. Have you seen this Bill Barnwell ranking the top playmakers in the NFL in terms of the teams and the playmakers that they have? Have you seen this list today, my friend?
No. Okay.
Well, it's good. He does a pretty good job. He's very thorough, tends to be a little, and I don't say this as somebody that is trying to be patronizing at all, but he really does kind of tend to write with a little bit of an anti-Jags vibe, I would say. I mean, he's not going to forget about a guy like the CBS Sports Cody Benjamin guy did with Josh Hines-Allen, but he tends to be a little lower in his opinion of the Jaguars, and sometimes obviously that's been right. But I thought it was interesting seeing where he had the Jaguars on his list. And so in looking at it, just where would you place, again, this isn't quarterback. This is simply your receiving core, your tight ends, and your running backs. And he does say that he skews more if you've got stars. But if you're just looking at every NFL team's receiver, tight end, running back group, where would you just off the top of your head think the Jaguars would fall?
Like 15, 16, middle of the road.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Well, you and Bill Barnwell are thinking alike because he has the Jaguars 16th as well. I'll read to you his write-up here. I would have them higher because while I would certainly agree that they don't have an elite star at any of these positions, ETN, I guess, still could become that. Christian Kirk isn't going to become a star. Gabe Davis isn't going to become a star. Maybe Brian Thomas, obviously, he could become a star. And Evan Ingram is not going to become a star. But they're all very good players, I would say. And so I think it kind of depends on what you prioritize. Like, I'd rather have 5 guys I can count on. And I'm including Brian Thomas in that, which isn't fair because we don't know that he can, walk and chew gum at this level yet. But I do know I at least have 4 guys that I know I can depend on, assuming everybody's healthy. I have 4 guys I know I can depend on, and then my 5th guy is a first-round pick who just led the SEC in receiving touchdowns last year. So I would have them higher than 16th. That is where Bill Barnwell of ESPN has them. Let me ask you this. So these are the teams that I think they should be ahead of. We'll start with Baltimore. How would you weigh that? Baltimore versus the Jaguars in terms of again, we're just talking about receivers, tight ends, running backs. So this is not a Lamar Jackson versus Trevor Lawrence argument at all.
Well, they have a better running back. They have a better tight end. And I don't know who their wide receivers are.
It's Zay Flowers is their best one. But I like all, obviously. I mean, Derrick Henry, I think, is going to be sensational there. Mark Andrews is a very good tight end, no doubt about it. And Zay Flowers had a great rookie year. But the way I would view that is they have 3 guys. Like, the Jaguars have 4 that we know they can count on, and a 5th that certainly they might be able to count on in terms of first-round pick Brian Thomas Jr. So I would put him ahead of Baltimore, but the next one really surprised me. He has Kansas City 14th. Does that surprise you? Again, they don't get credit for Mahomes in this because we're not talking quarterback.
Kelsey, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know who their Sky Moore. I don't know.
Yeah,
So.
it was interesting, and well, Rashee Rice had a nice year, but he's got the legal issue, so you don't even really know what Rashee Rice his availability. He was in that car accident, left the scene, and a few months ago, so we'll see how available he even is. They did take Xavier Worthy in the first round, but I mean it's basically Travis Kelce and no one else. And
won him 2 Super Bowls, so.
He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but would you rather have Travis Kelce and 4 mannequins, or would you rather have what the Jaguars have?
Who's the running back for Kansas City?
Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I think he's decent. I'd rather have ETN.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's too much between those two guys. I see your point. They don't have like any wide receivers, but they have the best tight end in the game.
You think he's still the best tight end in the game?
Yeah. I mean, maybe not in the Super Bowl towards the end of the year last year. He looked really injured and tired, but I don't know who I'd put above him.
Well, certainly, if you're talking about his career, there's no one active that you could put above him. I mean, I'm not arguing that. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's 34. And, he's spending his offseason on tour with Taylor Swift. So, I think it's fair to ask what kind of player is Travis Kelce going to be next year. We'll see. But anyway, I would put the Jaguars group ahead of Kansas City's group. But we differ there. He's got Tampa Bay above the Jaguars. I don't see that. Mike Evans was great last year and has been phenomenal in his career. But again, it's about right now. Chris Godwin is kind of struggled coming back from the injury. They have Rachaad White at running back. Not really a whole lot else, I would say. So I would have the Jaguars higher. How do you view that?
Yeah, I don't love Mike Evans. I love Mike Evans. I
Right.
feel like I've counted him out for the last 4 years, but he has come back stronger every single time. Like every time I think he's washed, he's back. But besides him, yeah, Godwin's good, but wasn't he hurt?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know enough about the rest of these rosters.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, and I'll certainly bring up the key components to it. There's only one more team that I would have put the Jaguars above. So I would have had them 11. So I'm not trying to say that they've got this elite group, but I do think that they're better than 16th. Barnwell has the Jets 12th. Now, Garrett Wilson looks like he's going to be a star. Obviously, we've talked about Breece Hall, and there's a lot of excitement for him. But other than that, they really don't have anything else of consequence. I mean, they signed Mike Williams to a 1-year deal. We'll see. He's coming off a torn ACL. They've added some pieces in the draft. Malachi Corley, but and at tight end they've got Tyler Conklin. So to me, again, you don't get any credit at quarterback. So it's just your skill guys. I don't know. I'd rather have what I like about the Jaguars group is I just feel like, particularly if Brian Thomas ends up being good, but even forget him. The fact that when Trevor Lawrence goes to the line of scrimmage, he can either, obviously they can run it with ETN, and that's always a quality decision. But when Trevor drops back to throw, if everybody's available and on the field, you've got Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis running routes, ETN running a route. And you've got Brian Thomas Jr. So to me, it was interesting looking at it from a Jaguars perspective, but also in relation to just how the rest of the league sets up, how the rest of the division sets up, because I was interested in where he had the Titans, Colts, and Texans. So I'm not going to have you guess, but I was I thought the Colts and Titans, I would say, were about right. Barnwell has the Colts 22nd. They basically re-signed, a lot of their guys. So you're talking about, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor is certainly there. So we'll see Josh Downs. They did draft A.D. Mitchell, but again, it's hard to put a lot of weight on rookies, in my opinion. But so the Colts, I would agree. I think theirs is below average. He's got the Titans 19th, and even makes the argument that 3 years ago this would have been a much higher number with DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, but Hopkins is 32 and Ridley is 30, and Tyler Boyd is 30, so a little older, but certainly guys that have, particularly in Hopkins' case, had an unbelievable career. They got Tony Pollard to replace Henry. I didn't really think that was much of a move. They've got the young tight end Aquanico that people like. They've got Tajay Spears, but I thought that was about right. I might have had the Titans even lower than 19th because I don't know how much Hopkins has left. But what'd you think? Colts 22, Titans 19. Does that sound about right to you?
I thought they'd have the Titans a little higher, I guess, considering who they brought in the offseason, Tank Dell. But yeah, I expected them to be higher than the Jags.
Really?
Oh, I was thinking the Texans.
Yeah, and the Texans are. The Texans, he believes is elite in terms of this, and it's hard to argue that. I mean, he's got Houston 4th.
Yeah, I don't even know who's on the Titans anymore. Like
Titans is like
I
Hopkins,
guess they have
Ridley,
2 wide receivers that you've heard of. Yeah,
exactly. So, in looking at Houston, obviously they added Stephon Diggs to what was already a pretty good group with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. They've got Dalton Schultz at tight end. They bring in Joe Mixon. So I don't have really any problem with Houston being very high up on this list. Their investment sort of demands it, and so we'll see. But certainly Houston has a lot of really, really good pieces. So I wasn't surprised that they were 4. So in the AFC South, Barnwell believes, and again, this is what this list, if you're just joining us, what this list is looking at is the best playmaking cores in the NFL. So ranking the NFL teams, receiver, tight end, running back talent for this coming season. And again, so I don't think the gap is that big. I wouldn't have it Houston 4, Jacksonville 16, Tennessee 19, and the Colts 22nd. I think the Texans should be 1 in the division, but I think the Jaguars are closer than what this would indicate. And then I think the Titans and Colts I think they're pretty substandard. The Titans are a little high, and I think the Colts may be a touch high in looking at it. But again, it'll be and his comments about the Jaguars were interesting in terms of how he came up with his ranking. And so Bill Barnwell writes, what felt like it might emerge as a top 5 unit last season never came together. Travis Etienne got off to a white-hot start and then failed to top 60 rushing yards in 8 of his final 9 games, ending the season at 3.8 yards per carry. He had 11 rushing touchdowns after seemingly being squeezed out of that workload before the season, but that was because expected goal line back Tank Bigsby wasn't good enough to earn regular snaps as a rookie. The receiving corps struggled to gel. Calvin Ridley had a huge week 1 and then never seemed to find steady targets as the ex-receiver and wasn't consistently on the same page with Trevor Lawrence. The Jags replaced him and Zay Jones with the combination of Gabe Davis and first-round pick Brian Thomas, who should be the starters on the outside in 2024. I'm more optimistic about the rookie than I am Davis, who couldn't routinely command targets with Josh Allen at the helm in Buffalo. The key players for the Jags just aren't dominant playmakers. Etienne is a good all-around back, but he isn't the Christian McCaffrey-esque receiver they hope for. Christian Kirk racked up plenty of receiving yards in 2022 before battling injuries last year, but he's really a slot receiver who doesn't do much after the catch. I would disagree with that. Evan Ingram's path to the Pro Bowl consists almost entirely of checkdowns. I think that was last year, but I think he's got the ability to be more than that. He wraps it up by basically saying all of these guys are fine and professional options, but this offense is succeeding when it does because of Trevor Lawrence as opposed to the guys around him. I don't argue with that. I certainly don't think any of these guys, like we talked about, are elite at their position. again, Etienne's the only one that has a chance to be that. If he has the potential to put up 1,600 yards this season, all around offensively. If he does that, he's going to be considered one of the best backs in the league. I don't think Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram are on that path, but I do think they're good starters. And to me, it's the versatility of what the Jaguars have assembled that I think makes it attractive. I'd rather have 5 B-level players than 1 A+ player, 1 A- player, and then the rest are incredibly average to below average players. So, some of it's obviously beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but I do think the Jaguars should be higher up on the list. And in terms of looking at it just from the league standpoint, he's got San Francisco 1, and man, it is hard to argue. I mean, what the 49ers have, it really is ridiculous when you talk about Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. They invested a first-round pick in Florida receiver Ricky Pearsall. So again, it doesn't take into, not that Brock Purdy isn't a good player, but this doesn't take in quarterback. And what the 49ers have is just outstanding. Do you have any issue with San Francisco being 1?
No, Philly's got to be close to that though with Saquon there now. But no, absolutely no issue with San Francisco being 1.
Yeah, and he has Philly too.
Yeah,
which I think you'd have to agree with that. To your point, adding Saquon to A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert's a good underrated tight end. So, yeah, no problem there. And then Miami was 3rd, who obviously the Jaguars open the season against down south. So that'll be, like we've talked about, that'll be a great test for new defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen in week 1 to have to go against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and everything that the Dolphins throw at you. So, yeah, to be honest, I think it's a pretty clear top 3. And then I think there's a drop-off. And then I think Houston is right there. Minnesota, he has 5th, which, I understand. You got Justin Jefferson there, and Jordan Addison played well. 6th is Chicago, which was a little surprising, but they've invested so much in it. Keenan Allen is there, DJ Moore. They took Rome Odunze in the first round. So in looking at what Chicago has put around Caleb Williams, you've got a pretty good tight end play there. Running back, you've got DeAndre Swift. So it was surprising for me to see Chicago there, but in reading through it, it was like, yeah, you know what? That's a pretty good core.
Yeah, especially if Keenan Allen is, semi back.
Yeah.
I feel like he's been hurt for like 10 years. But yeah, rookie quarterback. That's the thing about this list particularly. Like, if you're Mahomes, he laughs at this stuff. Like my surrounding players, like, who cares? The Bears are going to be terrible. They're number 6 on this list. The Kansas City's going to be, like, what were they, 15 or something like that on this list? Yeah, they were
14th
They're going to probably be in the AFC title game.
Right.
Like, the quarterback just means so much in this game.
Well, there's no doubt about it.
Crazy.
If you included the quarterbacks, Kansas City would be 1. In my opinion.
Yeah, they'd have to be.
They'd have to be 1.
San Francisco, too, maybe.
Yeah, Mahomes negates the advantage San Francisco would have pretty much everywhere else. And so, but again, that's why I thought it was kind of fun, because we tend to get so wrapped up in quarterbacks, as well we should. It's obviously it's the most important position, but it is interesting to take that out because it's such a big piece of the puzzle and say, well, let's look at the other rosters and get a sense of, from a playmaking standpoint, what is around these quarterbacks. It was also interesting just really seeing who Bill Barnwell is not a fan of. And a lot of this, it was hard to argue.
He doesn't like Evan Ingram. It seems like that.
Yeah.
Or ETN.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's a little harder on the Jaguars than I think you should be, because I would not describe Evan Ingram as a check down tight end. I get he was that last year because they had injuries, but I don't think that's what he is. I think Evan Ingram can be somebody who
Athletic.
you design a route for,
exactly.
and he goes and makes an explosive play for you. And that's something that I think can be consistent week in and week out. I'm not talking about he does it every so often. I think it's something that he can do consistently. But it was interesting looking at the teams that he's got at the bottom. He's got the Chargers last, but again, they lost everybody. So I mean, they've got Josh Palmer. Their running backs are J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. So basically 2 Ravens cast off, so that are rarely healthy. DJ Chark is there, and I'm assuming expected to at least give them something. They drafted Ladd McConkey.
Oh, love him.
Yeah, but I mean, and they've got they've got, in terms of tight end, Will Disley, Hayden Hurst, just kind of at this point, just sort of, good guys, but just sort of journeyman players, I would say at this point. So he's got the Chargers last. The Patriots I'd have last, but he's got the Patriots 31st.
Yeah, I'd probably have the Patriots last in everything.
Yeah, in everything, right? I mean, it's and then Denver 30th, the Giants 29th, the Panthers 28th, and the Steelers 27th. So those are the ones that not expecting much from. And I would agree with Bill Barnwell on that. Anyway, it was a fun list. And while I disagree with where he has the Jags, it's not like I'm not, it's not fire and brimstone or anything. I would view it more as the Jaguars are just outside the top 10 more than, they're just smack dab average in the NFL. But again, I think it speaks to the versatility, the diversification that this offense can week to week throw different things at a defense. 1 week it can be Christian Kirk with 130 yards. The next week it can be Evan Ingram is the guy. You hope Gabe Davis becomes that here, and a guy that can have that 120 yards, 2 touchdown game every so often for you. And then obviously the big variable is Brian Thomas, and if he's able to have a great rookie year and then turn that into a fantastic career as a Jaguar. And then ETN at running back, I think really has a chance to have a big year as well. So that's what I like about it. I like the roster construction of it because I think it gives Trevor and it gives Doug Peterson and Press Taylor options as they build a game plan every week. Because you can look at what the defense does well and what they don't do well, and then I think you can employ these guys and maximize their skill set to have almost a unique game plan in terms of who's going to get the bulk of the targets, at least how you envision it, every week, as opposed to having, the 1 or 2 guys that's like, okay, every week we know these are going to be the 2 guys that we've got to get involved and just hope we can get some production from other guys, and knowing that the, opponent, it has a clear priority on this is who we need to stop, and if we do that, we're going to hold this offense to a reasonable output. So fun topic again. We're getting close. We're less than 2 weeks away from the Jaguars opening training camp, and it's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited to see how Ryan Nielsen handles the Dolphins in week 1, because that is such a tough challenge, and that Mike McDaniel is going to have all sorts of new stuff ready for this season. So, and it's an important game. I mean, it's not like the Dolphins are in the NFC. I mean, this is 2 AFC contenders. So this is a game that's being played in week 1 that could have substantial ramifications in week 17 and week 18 when you start looking at seeding and potential wild card berths. That is a big game in week 1 to get. If you can get the tiebreaker over Miami immediately, then you would feel really good at least about that and what, really is a 10, 11 team deep race in the AFC for those 7. Jaguars training camp. That's going to be a lot of fun. We will switch it to college football when we come back on the Frangie Show. Tate Casey, the outstanding former Gator player and sideline reporter now for the University of Florida. He is going to join us. We're going to talk Florida football. You are listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
And is no harm, no foul.
Beats and bangs his way to turn 20.
This Sunday at Pocono Raceway. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. From Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
It's time to fire up your grills, shoot off some fireworks, and launch one of the biggest sales in the history of the United States. It's our our independent sale happening right now at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. Whether you drive a car, a truck, or an EV, everyone is welcome to celebrate our independent sale with the lowest prices, largest inventory, and the most love for our country. Come celebrate with Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. You don't want to miss this.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
This is Dr. George Bari inviting you to look online at BariOrthopedics.com for the latest in medical advancements when it comes to getting you back to full joint health. After studying under Dr. James Andrews, I know proper diagnosis is the first key to treatment, and educating the patient is the fastest path to recovery. Whether it's chronic back pain, nagging arthritis, or necessary joint replacement, we're here to serve you in the best possible way. We are Bari Orthopedics, and online at BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my take on the Weekend with Dan. Find it on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan, brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
I'm Hacker, and Denny Thompson and I will navigate you through the Florida football offseason during the Gator Bites podcast, presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. New episodes drop every Friday. Get Gator Bites where you find podcasts.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, a paint color namer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Irving Stapler.
Hi, Howie.
So the next round is word association. I'll say a word and you give me the first word you think of. Engagement ring.
Jeweler.
Gas station.
Fueler.
Aaron Burr.
Dueler.
Air conditioning.
Wow. Jeez. It's a toughie.
Come on, Irv. The sponsor's gonna kill me now.
Oh, Bueller.
That's right, Irv. If your AC is struggling through the summer heat, the first name you should think of for fast, friendly, 5-star service is Bueller Air and Plumbing. The name to know to make sure you are cool.
Have a beer, Irv.
Cooler.
Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
This is Hays Carlyon for Kingfish Pest Control. Are mosquitoes turning your outdoor fun into a full contact sport? It's time to call in Kingfish Pest Control. I can tell you from my own experience, they are the MVPs of mosquito elimination. Call Kingfish Pest Control today and get an unbeatable 50% off your first treatment. That's right, sign up for a full season of lockdown coverage and get 50% off your first treatment. Don't let mosquitoes steal your home field advantage. That's Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You and I know Zero Res loves cleaning carpets in your home. But did you know Zero Res can also clean the carpets where you work? Take a look at the floors where you work, and if they need cleaning, suggest to the boss they call Zero Res. For the month of July, Zero Res offering 20% off all commercial carpet cleaning. Call Zero Res, and they'll come out and give you a free estimate on what it will take to get the job done. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward. Zero Res, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
I always do my best to prep for summer, but sometimes things just come up. And when they do, Kohl's and their great prices are always there for me. I just shopped their summer cyber sale and saved big on everything I was missing, like summer must-haves under $15, floor care essentials for 50% off, and kitchen appliances for 30% off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So no matter what happens the rest of the summer, I'll be ready. Thanks to Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on The Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. I'm Hays Carlyon. We've got JJ LaSelva. Frank is on vacation. He will be back on Monday. We are so pleased to welcome in Tate Casey, a great Gator, played for the Gators from 04 through 08, won 2 national titles, fantastic tight end, and now does a fantastic job as the sideline reporter covering the Gators during games. Tate, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are y'all?
Doing great. Thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Let's. We're a week away. It's hard to believe, but Billy Napier will be meeting with the media in Dallas next week. Graham Mertz, Montrell Johnson, and Shamar James will be joining him. Tate, what's sort of the vibe in Gainesville this offseason, and what do you think the message will be that Napier will try and get across next week?
I think that one thing that's been consistent and pretty consistent since spring football started is it's just been the aspect of leadership and trying to get some of these guys in year 3 to rise to the top and have that presence, whether it's offense or defense or special teams, having some of those leaders in the locker room carry over to the field, and some of these younger classes that are coming in fall in line and live up that, bar that's been set.
I thought seeing the spring game and being there in person, I thought they look bigger, that they look more like Florida. Did you get that sense?
Yeah, and I think that there was some strength and conditioning change in the off season. For a second there, we didn't know what was going on with it.
Right.
And now that you see it and you hear the guys talking about the strength and conditioning program this off season, I think that that's been something that's even caught some attention, maybe subtly. If you follow online or Twitter and some of the other avenues and listen to players talk about the strength and conditioning program. It's been a bright spot of the offseason, and I think that is going to pay dividends, in the season. I've always said that championships are usually won January through, March, April, not necessarily August through December. And so what they're doing from January to right now matters, and I think that you can definitely tell that there's some guys growing up in that locker.
And obviously the leadership component looks to be pretty strong as well. It starts with Graham Mertz. What are your expectations for him for his super senior year?
Yeah, I think when you look at Graham Mertz, and I said this last year, is he going to wow you with a 40-yard dash? Is he going to wow you with a bench press or the vertical? Maybe not. But if you talk about a student of the game and what he brings between the ears, it's exactly what you need if you're Billy Napier trying to get this thing back on track, because he's the guy that's not going to get you in a lot of problems. He's not going to make a ton of mistakes with the football. A lot of times when he does, he'll own it. And it's not just, errors because he doesn't know what he's doing. But he's a guy that could be your field general and keep the ball moving on offense. And when you parlay that really with the run game that Florida's got coming back, and then some of the receivers and the talent they've got out on the outside, I think they've got a chance to really be the best year we've seen probably since Dan Mullen's third year, second to last year at Florida. And the defense, I say this year after year, but since 2019, I don't think we've truly seen a Florida defense that we're used to seeing. And so that's one of those things that's going to consistently get better. But I think when you mention the freshman class, you get guys like Justin Witherspoon and some of these guys back that were injured last year, and then some of these young guys like Kelby Collins and Cersei, some of these guys on the front line and the front seven can make a huge impact in the way you play football this year.
It's hard to believe, Tate, but it's been 18 years since that 06 season where, Urban Meyer did such a fantastic job, and Dan Mullen, of balancing having the veteran quarterback in Chris Leak and the different option of freshman quarterback in Tim Tebow. You were obviously in that locker room. What was that dynamic like? And will it be difficult for Billy Napier to employ it if he does want to get DJ Lagway 15 snaps a game in certain red zone or short yardage roles?
I don't think it's going to be difficult. I think when you look at it and you look at Graham Mertz, one, he's a selfless player. Like he's a great leader in the locker room. I think when you talk about DJ Lagway, very similar to Tim Tebow in certain circumstances where he's hungry, right? He's coming in. He's not looking for a handout. He's not, resting on his laurels. He's willing to come in and work. And he understands the bar that's been set and what it means to be a starting quarterback at the University of Florida. That didn't come easy. So to me, I think if you spent any time talking to DJ Lagway, you kind of realize what kind of kid he is. He's coming in ready to go to work, and I think that he understands the expectation, what the role is. He may have an impact first year, but I think after this year, he also understands the implications of what that means next year, right, in 2025. He may take the reins and be here for the next 3 years as the field general. So he's got a lot to learn, but at the same time, he's got somebody to learn it from. And I think he'll do a good job with it. I think you're going to see plenty of DJ Lagway.
Do you think we'll see him as early as the opener?
I think so. I mean, when you look back at Tim, I don't know if there's anything better than throwing a guy in the fire, right? I think experience is the best way to learn. And, as somebody who jumped in as a freshman and played a lot of games, a lot of snaps, I think you learn a lot through that experience, good, bad, or indifferent. But I think that Billy Napier and this staff is going to find ways to maximize his success, right? Put him in positions that are going to help him succeed and help this offense succeed. And it's also going to help them build that momentum going into the regular season or the SEC play.
And one thing that I think is encouraging as well about the offense is Montrell Johnson might be one of the most underrated running backs in the country. So I didn't think he'd be back. So you get Montrell back, and I was really impressed with some of the depth players that we saw in the spring game. How do you evaluate the potential ground game that the Gators might have?
I'm going to tell you what, I think it's one of the deeper rooms in the SEC. I mean, and when you talk about Montrell, the one thing I do appreciate about Montrell is, coming with Billy and coming all the way out to Florida to prove something. He's played with a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's seeing that through. But when you go beyond him and you look at, Trayon Webb and there's a whole, Jaden Ball, there's a whole room full of backs over there. And then you mix in some freshmen with Katie Daniels and some of these younger guys. There's a lot of potential. And then you get Cam Carroll coming off an injury. And, you haven't seen a lot of Cam Carroll, but I'll say this, as somebody who's been around the program the last few years, if there's a leadership model you want to follow in the mindset, and Cam Carroll is one of those guys that you're going to want to be in the trenches with. And so it's good to see. It's nice to have depth. I think you're going to need it with this schedule. I think you're going to need a 1-2 punch and mix some things up. But I will say the offense is something that I'm kind of excited to watch this year versus last year. And they didn't have too terribly bad a year last year. So that, for me, you mix that with a solid defense, I think Florida's going to surprise some people this year.
I'd like to see the tight ends get more involved. I was really impressed with Arlis Boardingham kind of in the middle part of the year, and then it seemed like maybe defense just sort of caught on to him, and he kind of slowed a little bit. But how do you see the tight end position, and could that become a weapon that's utilized a little bit more than what we've seen with Billy Napier in his first 2 years?
I think it can. I'm based, so I always like to see a little more tight end involvement. But, we've had some solid tight ends over the years. I think we've seen some come in and out, and obviously since the departure of Kyle Pitts, we kind of hold a higher standard at the moment. But, Arliss Birmingham's got a chance to really, really break out, and that says something for a guy that's a redshirt sophomore. I mean, he's still got a lot of upside. He's still got a lot of potential, and there's still guys in that locker room that are young and unproven. But the blocking came along last year. I think Arliss is getting a year older. We're going to want to see that development translate a little bit. But you also got to imagine a tight end of his size and that potential. One more year in the weight room, I mean, that maximizes a lot for a guy who's 6'4", 240. I think it was last year. So he's one of those guys you look to come back. He's going to be a little more athletic. Hopefully he's going to be a little bit bigger. He's going to give you another body out on the edge. And I think you can do some really creative things in that regard with an athletic tight end in the slot, in the backfield, and kind of, mix it up and throw it around a bit.
Gators sideline reporter Tate Casey kind enough to join us. Let's get it to the defensive side. And Tate, before we even get into personnel, it feels like alignment was a big watchword this offseason, and getting coaches in that are in sync with what Austin Armstrong wants as defensive coordinator. Did you get a chance to feel any of that, see any of that? Do you think that there is greater alignment with that defensive coaching staff?
Yeah, I think that, with what we did in the offseason to shift some stuff around, I think it brought a little bit of rejuvenation, especially to the DB side. I mean, when you look at what we've seen at the defensive back position, recently, you look at Jason Marshall last year, I thought he was going to have a breakout year, and I think it was a little bit disappointing, and probably a little bit disappointing to him.
Yeah.
But he's got a chance to come back, and he committed to coming back, getting better. I think he probably wouldn't have done that if he wasn't excited about the moves that were made in the offseason. I think when you just look across the board in the DB position, there's some speedsters. There's some guys that have gotten better. In the spring game, we saw better tackling. We saw a little bit better coverage. I think we saw better defensive play all the way around. And I think that says something because I think the offense got a little bit better too.
Yeah, without a doubt. In terms of looking at some of the transfers on the defensive side of the ball, I'm excited about Pup Howard. Obviously, he's from here. But there were several that were brought in. Anybody that caught your eye or that there's a buzz about, in the building there about some of these newcomers?
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz about newcomers. It's hard to make a hay about it, though, to me. You've got some guys. I think Jakeem Jackson is one that I've had my eye on as a young guy. But Jason Marshall, I'll say this for a veteran, and I go back to the days of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a lot of hype around him around his sophomore year, junior year, a little bit of lackluster performance, and came back and then ended up being kind of the staple in that defense. And to me, I think Jason Marshall has a chance to be the anchor on this defense. Not to take anything away from Shamar James and some of those guys up front, but I think that he can be one of those tone setters on the back end, and he's got the ability. So I'm really anxious to see him come out this year and really kind of change the perspective on him at the corner position. Yeah,
it's a great point because, he went to SEC Media Days last year. So, it's, that was certainly, you felt like Jason Marshall this is sort of the farewell year. He's going to have a great year and then declare for the draft and, be, late first, mid-second round guy, somewhere in there. And I thought it was an incredibly disappointing year for him. So I wasn't surprised that he returned to college football. And yeah, it was great for Florida that he elected to remain in Gainesville. He is a major X factor because he's got the chance. He's got the chance to really, really turn some things around and prove some people wrong that were in his corner, maybe jumped out of his corner. And this year, I think if I'm him, if I'm Jason Marshall, my focus this year is to just stick to what you do and not overthink anything. I think coming into this year is going to be a little bit easier for him than going into last year because of the hype that surrounded him. And not to mention, he's got a lot of young guys and a lot of young talented guys in that DB room that's going to be, pressing pressure. It's going to keep him sharp. Yeah, absolutely. As we wrap, Tate, forget the schedule because I think we get too bogged down in the schedule and what does Billy have to do. And obviously we talk at length about that, almost every day. But just from a football perspective, what do you think that this team can do that will be a strength, and what is something that you still think will probably end up being a weakness?
I think that the strength is going to be in the defense, and I say that as someone who, like I said, since 2019, I don't think that we have seen that Florida defense you're used to seeing since the 80s, 90s, 2000s, mid-teens, right? The nastiness, the attitude, the mentality, the swagger, all included, and not a false bravado. I mean, like, you go out and you know they're going to show up. And I think you only get that with leadership. I think having, some of these older guys back is going to help that cause greatly. And then just the off-season program and seeing what they've done and how they've developed over the course of the summer since spring ball. That's going to be a key factor for me. I think Florida, with a great defense and team defense, Florida's got a chance to really, really just completely shock some people this year. And I'm not talking 6 wins. I'm talking 8 to 10 wins.
Right.
I think it can be that significant. And that is if the offense shows up and offensive line plays solid. And that's the other real X factor to me is the offensive line is going to have to grow up quick.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to have some young bodies. We've got big guys, but the missed blocks, backside protections, that kind of stuff, it can't be the small things that really shot ourselves in the foot last year. We've got to be on top of it.
Yeah, and I like that they've moved some of the tackles from last year that struggled inside to guard. It feels like it's from a roster build standpoint that they now have natural tackles and some pretty good depth at that spot.
Yeah, and for the first time.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I think we saw, midway through the season last year, I thought you started to see some shift. I think we started to see some rotation. When mistakes were made, you started to see, Rob Sale say, okay, next guy up, we're going to figure this out. Sometimes that's all you can do, right? Mid-season, you can't do anything except for what you can do right then and there, and then you worry about the talent recruitment in the off season, and then you do it in recruiting, obviously during the season. But when you're in game and the bullets are flying, you got to do what you can, and I think they did a good job on the fly. But I think offensive line is going to determine the direction of this team. I think the defense is going to be substantially better than what we've seen the last 2 to 3 years. I think the receivers, between the young guys and some of the veterans that are coming back, and the running back room, I'm not too concerned about. I think the quarterback room is going to be about as good as you can ask for from a 2D perspective. That offensive line is going to be the key to whether or not I think Florida is a 6-win team at the end of the season or a potential 10-win team.
Absolutely. Tate Casey, great stuff. I can't thank you enough for your time. We really appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you during football season. It'll be a lot of fun.
Anytime, guys. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Thanks so much. Tate Casey, great player for the Florida Gators, 2-time national champion, and does a great job as the sideline reporter. So we'll look forward to hearing Tate all throughout football season. When we come back on the Frangie Show, I want to react to some of the stuff that Tate said. I mean, I thought there's some really good insights there. Some I agree with, and some we're going to get into as well for this Florida team. Again, let's get beyond the schedule, and let's get beyond what does Napier have to do. I understand, and they rightfully have dominated the offseason conversation with the Florida Gators, but we're close now to them actually being out on a practice field 3-4 weeks away. Let's talk about what Florida actually looks like as a football team. We'll do that. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Drinking cocktails with Warren Sapp and smoking stogies with Ed Reed.
What are you talking about?
Former Miami Hurricane Leon Searcy is sharing his best stories with you.
Stories about colorful characters.
Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
It's the Big One sales event going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Buy a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Corolla for just $1,000 down and $288 per month. Or you choose a pre-owned 2020 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for just $1,000 down and $388 per month. Arlington Pre-Owned has over 400 used cars in stock and more than 100 vehicles under $18K. And you even get 30 days to love your pre-owned purchase or exchange it. Shop the Big One sales event, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Nothing has a 10-year warranty except for a new AC unit from Vons. V-O-N-S. Vons Amazing 10. This is legit. A full 10-year warranty. It covers parts, labor, and refrigerant. That's an unmatched commitment they make to their customers, while others will charge extra for weekend and same-day emergencies. Not at Vons. No extra charges. Just great service when you need it, whether your unit needs to be repaired or replaced. Remember, if your AC won't turn on, just call Vons.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hays Carlyon from MyBookie. Look, we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. Well, MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. I love the live casino. The roulette is awesome. It's so easy and so much fun. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action is in your hands. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL, and a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. So sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win. Only with MyBookie.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
1010XL keeps you company with sports takes and local talk.
Well, then that's exactly what we'll do.
Saturday from noon to 2.
Got any ideas who this mystery man might be?
It's Compton and Company.
What if word about this gets out?
On 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Hey folks, Curtis Dvorak here. Are you a golfer, pickleball player, or a concert lover? Well, if you said yes to any of those, join me for the first ever Patriot Games on Saturday, September 21st at the Yards in Ponte Vedra. All proceeds benefit Operation New Uniform, which is a transition training program for service members, veterans, and military spouses. For more information, visit onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org. Hope to see you there.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. A collectible that has gained traction has been movie characters in rubber duck form from Tubbs. Minions, Back to the Future, and Jaws are some of the movies featured with Stewart, Marty McFly, and Doc Brown. Tubbs, collectible ducks at Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
At
Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to come out and experience one of the most beautiful and unique golf courses in North Florida. Affordable golf, friendly service, and great times in the Hills Grill after play. Book your tee time, hiddenhillsgc.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on The Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
You can absolutely trust Ricketts Electric. Give them a call at 320-5960 for all your power needs. Zach will take great care of you. Unbelievable family, unbelievable people, and we really appreciate Ricketts Electric. Again, 320-5960. Appreciate everything Ricketts Electric does for the Frangie Show. Welcome back. Frank's on vacation. He will be back Monday. JJ LaSelva is here. I am Hays Carlyon. It was fun having Tate Casey on last segment talking about Gators football. And I think Florida can absolutely surprise people in terms of wins this year. To me, it's forget the road games, forget the game in Jacksonville. This all comes down to, can Florida hold the Swamp? And if they can go undefeated in the Swamp, that's 7 wins, and there is no team walking into Gainesville this year that Florida just has no chance of beating. You will never convince me that they can't beat Miami and LSU, Ole Miss in that building. And why I say that is you've got an experienced quarterback who protects the football. You're bringing in a freshman that should be able to give you some really good supplemental run game in terms of third, fourth and short, red zone, goal line. I expect DJ Lagway is going to have that role pretty much immediately. So I think in looking at it, with Mertz, with Lagway, you're probably looking at, okay, we can convert in short yardage. We can convert when we're close to the goal line. We're not going to throw a bunch of picks when we want to put the ball in the air because we have Graham Mertz. I think you look at defensively, Tate believes they're going to be substantially better. It's hard for me not to agree with that. I think last year we just didn't realize how disconnected the defensive coaching staff was. And it was pretty obvious when that was the first thing that Billy Napier addressed in the offseason. Those were the first firings, was on that side of the ball. And I think in looking at it, a defense that's more in alignment with getting the message communicated properly to the players of this is what it is expected. Everybody being cohesive, rowing in the same direction. I think, and then you look at the talent that Florida has brought in both out of the high school ranks, starting with 5-star defensive lineman L.J. McCray, and then looking at what they've added in the portal. And again, they really didn't lose anything of consequence. Again, this is a team that had one player drafted, and it was on the offensive side of the ball, Ricky Pearsall, going in the first round to San Francisco. So that, to me, that's where I think Florida can surprise people, because it doesn't really matter what they do against Georgia and Jacksonville. It doesn't really matter what they do at Texas, at Tennessee, at Florida State. Those are games you'd love to win. They're rivalry games for them. I mean, Texas isn't, but the other ones are. But that's not where you are in your program's development right now with this administration. You're in the stage of you just need to prove that this administration deserves more time. Win all your games in the Swamp, nothing else is going to matter. That's 7 wins. You go and beat Mississippi State and Starkville. That gets you to 8 wins. And Florida, I think, would be pretty much elated to get to 8 wins with the schedule that they do face. But to me, it all starts with just own the Swamp. And there's no reason that Florida should not be able to do that in year 3 under Billy Napier with the experience that they have at quarterback, the playmaking they have at quarterback, and a defense that I do think is going to be much better, and a ground game led by Montrell Johnson that I think is going to be dependable. Tate's right. The offensive line is going to be whether they can win 5 or whether they can win 9. But I do think that they've done a good job bringing in the right pieces. So, again, we're getting close. That Florida-Miami opener is next month. It's hard to believe, so it won't be long, and we're certainly tremendously excited about that. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we are going to have our daily headlines. That is next. You're listening to 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
At 1010XL,
Red Moondog 711 4213.
we speak at least 5 different languages.
3 Rocket X Crash.
We have a PhD in sports talkology. 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Maybe you've got plumbing problems, like toilets that won't flush, or there's not enough pressure, or you get clogs and stoppage too often.
Ew!
There's several potential causes, and some can't be detected easily. So before it becomes a disaster, call Roland Reich Plumbing. They can send a special video camera down through the lines, since they don't have a small little man, to find the root of the problem, which could be tree roots. Don't guess. Hire Roland Reich Plumbing at plumbingjacksonville.com.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Wednesday is Free Friday at 1010XL's Restaurant of the Day, John Smith Subs. Experience the thrill of the grill and get free fries with any sandwich purchase all day today. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs on Hodges at JTV. Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Hey, Matt Hays here with Mike Dempsey, both continuing to reap the benefits of losing weight with Awaken 180. For me, it starts with sleep. That's right, a full night's sleep every night. Another thing, I haven't been sick in months. No colds, no sinus infections. Mike?
Same thing here. My added bonus is I've lost a few more pounds in free maintenance. Crazy to think the weight not only stayed off since last September, but I don't even think about it anymore. With Awaken 180, keeping it off becomes second nature. I've had my cheat days, I have my cheat meals, but it's not really cheating when the results stay the same.
Awaken 180 isn't just about losing weight. It's about enhancing your life, better sleep, better health, and for me, enjoying golf and swimming without joint pain.
When you're not carrying around 40 extra pounds, your joints surely thank you. Have your joints, your heart, and your scale thanking you too, and do what we did online at awaken180weightloss.com.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
I'm Max Fink here with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. The Jaguars' all-time receiving yards leader, Jimmy Smith, sat down with the drill yesterday morning to chat about his excitement for this year's hungry Jaguars team. From stadium renovations to the stars getting paid, Smith spoke about his anticipation for this season.
Everybody's on notice, and I'm looking for Trevor to come out on fire this year and hopefully get us there. You know, we did good as far as building our defensive line, and just hope everybody, you know, we got Morris at center, and you know, I just hope those few pieces that we got at free agents and the draft picks can develop, and we can put together a good ball club.
The Jumbo Shrimp have dropped their third game in a row as they fell 10-5 this afternoon to the Gwinnett Stripers in Georgia. The Shrimp will look to find their way back into the win column tomorrow night at 7:05. It's 89 degrees at 5:05. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round.
It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. JJ LaSelva is here. I am Hays Carlyon. Frank Frangie on vacation. He will be back with us on Monday. Appreciate our friends from Harrell & Harrell. Give them a call if you need them at 251-1111. All right, JJ, let's jump right into it. It's always awesome when we get to hear from Jaguar players. Tyson Campbell, the exciting corner from the Jaguars, joined Dan Hicken on the drill this morning and was asked about his contract situation.
As of right now, I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm just leaving it in the guy's hands and letting my agent do his job. And if the guy says it's time for me to get an extension right now, then, you know, it'll happen. And if not, you know, we just play the waiting game.
I hope they can get the deal done. He's a talented player, plays a premium position, and I think he's got some great football left ahead of him. A lot of upside, I still think, with Tyson Campbell. So hopefully that gets done. That was a great interview. Again, that was Tyson Campbell on with Dan Hicken this morning on the drill. JJ, have you watched any of the Hard Knocks with the Giants yet?
I haven't.
Okay,
I didn't know there was a Hard Knocks.
Oh, so this is interesting. It's an off-season Hard Knocks.
Oh, yes.
And so the episode that debuted last night was I thought really cool. So part of it is you have the Giants GM talking with Saquon Barkley and trying to kind of do that, hey, you know, can you promise me you'll circle back to us? Which, you know, I don't know why GMs even bother saying that. It's like, make your offer. That's such a cop-out. It's like, that would annoy me if I was a player, and it would absolutely annoy me if I was an agent. No, I'm not going to circle back. Throw out your offer now, and if your offer ends up being the best, then you will get the player. But I'm not circling back. I don't feel like we owe that to you. And anyway, it was interesting. Obviously, Saquon Barkley ends up going to Philadelphia. But there was also some interesting rookie draft nuggets. Like they had Drake May in the combine interview with the Giants brass. They had Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze. They had Malik Neighbors as well, who the Giants ended up taking. But it was really cool just to see the interactions and things like that. One of the Giants coaches kind of tried to get Marvin Harrison to talk poorly about the Ohio State quarterback who underthrew what would have been a touchdown. Marvin Harrison wisely did not take the bait on that. But it was interesting. Drake May was sort of drawing up plays when, getting the information, and Rome Odunze was really impressive as well. If you're a Bears fan, you had to, I think you'd have to love the time that they showed him interacting with the Giants coaching staff. So it's cool. I would recommend checking it out, or you can find a lot of the clips on Twitter anyway. Netflix has a documentary in terms of the NFL that they are releasing today, Receiver. They did quarterback last year. This year they're doing receiver. It focuses on Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. JJ, will you have any interest in this?
No, I'm out on all sports documentaries. They're trash.
Yeah,
including Hard Knocks. They're never going to show anything that you actually want to see.
Yeah.
It's all propaganda. It's an NFL Films thing, so they're never going to show anything interesting. And I I'm overall sports documentaries.
I'm kind of with you to a degree. I'm definitely with you on the training camp Hard Knocks. That's just become so formulaic.
Same
and
thing.
Watered down.
Hey, let's find a guy who's probably not going to make
Right.
the team, who's an undrafted player, but we're going to make it seem like he's right on the edge of making the team.
Exactly.
And we're going to take you into his crappy apartment and show you his girlfriend, and like you're going to get emotionally attached to this guy, and guess what? He's not going to make the team.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Well, and they used to have a lot of
Story
the
as old as time. HBO.
Yeah,
Get rid of it, dude.
No doubt about it. Well, and they used to give you like staff meetings and like what would be said about players. It was really interesting, and they'd have obviously GM and coach player interactions, and yeah. So I agree with you. But this Giants one in the offseason, I actually have been surprised at how much access was granted. Yeah. And again, it's not just Giants players, as we talked about. Many of the top players in the draft have been featured in this. So that one is worth checking out. I'm with you.
Did you watch quarterbacks?
I did not, and I
Okay.
probably won't watch receiver because
I heard negative things about the quarterback doc. So I was like, I watched one episode, and it was like. It's not for me.
It's not for me
It's
either.
not for like a hardcore sports fan, honestly. It's
Yeah.
crazy to think that, but it's for like your girl.
I'm not really
To
interested
watch
in
with your
their
girl
like
on the couch.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not really interested in their like minute
Personal
by
life.
minute, like lives. And
Because
so
guess what? The exciting stuff that has to do with their lives,
we see
they're
it
not
in
showing,
the game.
Yeah,
Right.
and like their off the field stuff that's dramatic, they're not gonna show you.
Right.
Like Patrick Mahomes' dad being a drunk, getting a DUI, like they would never show you that, and that's one of the only things I want to watch for. You know, like the hate that his wife gets, they're never going to show you her reaction to that. So it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
man.
I'm kinda with you.
I guess it does its job, which is to be like, hey, your wife likes these guys now, right? So now she wants to watch the game with you. She wants to purchase a jersey. It's for her. All this stuff is for her. Not Hard Knocks, but like these Netflix docs.
I would agree that it's based more around like the person, and maybe receiver will be different. I don't know. We'll see, but it's gonna have to get some pretty crazy buzz for me to tune in. So we'll see. In college football, there was some big news today with a lot of cancellations. Florida canceled its home-and-home series with Cal. That was scheduled for the 2026-27 season.
SEC match.
Yeah, it's not going to happen anymore. Georgia also canceled its upcoming home-and-home series with UCLA. That was for the 25-26 seasons. Why are we seeing this? It's because the SEC is in all likelihood going to go to a 9-game conference model as soon as they'll get the fat check to do that,
And of
which
course,
they're
we were
probably
hoping
going to
they
get
would
in the next year.
We
too.
were hoping they would get rid of the Samford games.
Right.
Nope. Those games are staying. They're just
Right.
going to get rid of the actual non-conference games that we would have watched. Not saying Cal.
Yeah.
It was a good game, but I mean, I would have much rather them gotten rid of the 1AA team they're going to play on the schedule.
Yeah. I had no disappointment in Florida not playing Cal. I have no disappointment in not seeing Georgia beat UCLA by 50. So, yeah.
But you get my point. I like
I
the
do, yeah.
huge Utah versus Florida matchup to start the year.
Right.
If we do a 9-game SEC schedule, I doubt we're going to get that anymore.
I would really doubt it. Florida would keep Florida State, obviously, but its other 2 games, I would imagine, will be of the cream puff variety. And I would think most SEC schools would fall into that model as well. They may even go, really, to be honest, a lot of them that don't have that natural out-of-conference rivalry, it'll probably be the 9 conference games and 3 cupcakes so that they can get to the 6 wins that they need to be bowl eligible.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's interesting little news in the world of college football. Getting to college football video games, this was certainly big news today. EA Sports started to release player ratings. Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, local kid, and Colorado's Shedeur Sanders are the highest rated quarterbacks in the new EA Sports video game. Both are a 93. The highest rated players in the game are a 96. It goes as high as 99, if you're unfamiliar with this.
Yes, no one is 100.
No one is 100. So the highest rated players were 96, and that was Michigan corner Will Johnson and LSU left tackle Will Campbell. So that was kind of interesting that not only is there no 99s, there's no 97s or 98s, but I will say it kind of speaks to what I think this draft is going to be perceived as, which is somewhat weak. I don't think it's going to be viewed as this, wow, there's like 7, 8 just.
You mean quarterback-wise or just
I think in
general-wise?
general. I think in general it's not going to be perceived to be. I don't think it's going to be awful, but I don't think it's going to be perceived to be this
super deep,
incredibly, super deep, and even at the top of the draft, I don't think the top 6-7 guys on the board would stack up, well in most years. So this is sort of a reflection of that. But I was surprised that the highest rated player is a 96. JJ, I can tell you when I am about 3 or 4 years into my dynasty, if you're a 96, you're not starting on my team. That's what I can tell you. We're 99s across the board.
Only 9.
Yeah.
Do you remember this was Madden, but they had Devin Hester was the only player to ever have 100 speed.
Oh wow, I don't. Yeah, that's funny.
And everybody lost their mind about that. I have an issue with Shedeur being ahead of Carson Beck. They have the same
tied.
rating, but his overall rank is one better than him.
Okay.
So he is the high. So they made Shedeur Sanders the highest rated quarterback for a reason. He's on the cover.
Right.
They have his watch celebration in the game. He's obviously the most. You see him on every commercial. I don't see Carson Beck in any commercials.
Yeah.
So he's obviously the most marketable college football player right now, especially thanks to Pops.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it was a very fair rating, in my opinion, to have him one over Carson Beck, who I think is. The NFL is going to let us know who they think is better next year.
They will, and I have a very good inclination it will be Carson Beck.
Even though if you look at Shedeur's stats from last season, they're epic. I mean, he had 27 touchdowns and 3 picks, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like that. The kid's really good.
Yeah, he's super talented, no doubt about it. But I would lean towards, if I needed a quarterback in next year's draft, I would be leaning more towards Carson Beck. Let's get it to Florida State. DJ Uiagalelei, the new quarterback for the Seminoles. He's not going to attend ACC Media Days. He wants players on last year's team to be recognized at the event. I think that's very cool of him. I don't love it when transfer portal guys go anyway, because you just sort of got there. But in this case, with the unique circumstances of how FSU's season ended, I think it's very cool that he's saying, I don't want to go. Let's let some guys that, won 13 games here last year go.
I think that this is him killing 2 birds with 1 stone. First of all, he looks humble and oh my gosh, what a great guy. Second of all, he doesn't have to go.
Yeah.
He's already been to a couple.
He has.
I doubt it's the most enthralling experience for a 20-year-old guy to have to go and be interviewed by us all day for I guess a couple of days you're down there.
It's just one. You just pop in and pop
okay.
out. Yeah, but to your point, he's done it twice because I think he went 2 years with Clemson.
He's probably fine just chilling at the house.
Yeah, I'm sure he's over it. But yeah, you're right. It's I get what you're saying, but I thought that was a really cool touch, particularly in light of how the season ended for them.
It is weird to have. I'm sure Cam Ward will be there, but more than half the questions you get asked are about last season. So it is weird when you have these guys who just got there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's get it to the NBA. Clippers star Kawhi Leonard is out of the Olympics as he is still recovering from a knee injury. Leonard will be replaced on Team USA by Boston sharpshooter Derek White. I actually like this move.
Yeah, he's more of a team player instead of just throw another star in there or something. Somebody who needs the ball.
You've got to actually build a team.
And he plays great defense. He's a good passer. He's just a great glue guy.
Right.
And it would have been hilarious, Kawhi not playing the latter stages of the playoffs, if he would have suited it up for Team USA. How pissed are you if you're the Clippers?
Yeah, I think the Clippers
oh my God.
what are we doing here?
Yeah, they dodged a bullet by it would have been a bad look if he would have played for Team USA, having not played just a month ago.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I am excited to see Derek White. You don't think he's going to have some open looks, do you?
Right.
I mean, my goodness.
Better knock him down. They do have that really short 3-point line for FIBA, too.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Can't wait to see. I love watching. I saw a video of Steph practicing on the FIBA line, and it's a joke, man. It's us taking layups.
That's awesome. I can't wait for it. I'm just a couple weeks away from
the closer we get to the Olympics, I won't say I'm getting excited about the entire games, but certainly basketball. Just see, Canada has a pretty badass roster.
I tell you, it really has
Germany,
become a global game.
Yeah, Germany won the World Cup or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not just a shoo-in that we're going to win the gold.
Yeah, I mean, France has got to be somewhat good just with their front court.
Yeah, Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Are they going to be playing at the same time? I guess. It'll be fun to watch.
It will be. Let's get it to golf. Rory McIlroy spoke at the Scottish Open about his U.S. Open disappointment. JJ has that clip for you.
I think the way I've described Pinehurst on Sunday was like it was a great day until it wasn't. I did things on that Sunday that I haven't been able to do in the last couple of years. Took control of the golf tournament, held putts when I needed to, well, mostly when I needed to. Made birdies, really got myself in there. Yeah, it was a tough day. It was a tough few days after that, obviously. But I think as you get further away from it happening, you start to see the positives. You start to see all the good things that you did throughout the week. The putt on the last was a really tricky putt, and I was very aware of where Bryson was off the tee. So I knew I had to hit it really soft. If the one back didn't matter, I would have hit it firmer and it would have been, but because I was sort of in two minds, I didn't know whether Bryson was going to make a par or not. It was one of those ones where I just had to make sure that if the putt didn't go in, that it wasn't going 10 feet by, which it very easily could have. So, and yeah, thinking back, I was probably maybe a little too aware of where Bryson was and what he was doing.
Really interesting comments there from Rory.
It
would have been great to get those. Yeah, it would have been great to get those comments post round.
Yeah, exactly.
3 weeks ago.
After.
But it very insightful nonetheless. Rory McIlroy speaking today as he defends his Scottish Open, and I hope he plays well at Royal Troon. I mean, I'd love it if
it'll be a great story.
Yeah, if he won the British Open, I mean that'd be great. And our good friend Gary Smits of the Florida Times Union, who covers golf, joined us yesterday. He picked Rory McIlroy to win it. I'd love to see it. I don't expect to see it.
No, not this soon. Maybe this week, but I don't know about the Open.
Yeah, he could win the Scottish Open. But that's a pretty good field. I mean,
it's a great field.
Yeah, I actually will say this. I'm going to change course here. If he wins the Scottish Open this week, then I think he absolutely can win the British Open.
Yeah.
But my guess is he's going to be like good but not great, finish
Top
probably
5
like
or something.
Yeah, I might even say like T12 this week and then maybe like T9 next week. I don't think he'll be bad, and I certainly think he'll be in the conversation. But I don't get a sense it'll be like, I don't think he'll be at the top and fall back. I just think he'll sort of be lurking the whole time but never be able to make enough putts to get hot. But we'll see.
To me, that quote about like worrying about DeChambeau, it just shows to me why he hasn't been winning majors. Like that mindset. He's always close. But, he just couldn't finish it. And like we said when it happened, he's always close on Sunday in the majors, but he's usually not winning and then blows it like that. And so for him to be so close, and he's thinking and he's looking, and he says, is he going to have a par? Should I hit it hard? Should I hit it soft? And, that's just not the environment or the mindset to have when you're trying to hit a putt to win a major for the first time in 10-plus years. So
yeah, I don't think Tiger Woods was ever really worrying about the other guys.
Or a Scheffler or a Koepka or just the killers on tour.
It's a great point. And, I think that's why people like Rory, is because he's willing to give you insights that some athletes might not be willing to do, because it does show a vulnerability to him. So anyway, we'll see. But hopefully Rory McIlroy is able to shake off the disappointment at Pinehurst and play some great golf over the next 10 days. Let's get to Major League Baseball. The Yankees lose again, falling to the Rays last night. New York is now 6-17 in its last 23 games, JJ.
And I think they're at least 3 games back. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, they're 3 games back to the Orioles, who they play this weekend, right before the All-Star break. That'll be huge. Imagine if they drop 3. Yeah. Imagine if they go into the All-Star break down 6 games after just having an insane... Man, this is Aaron Boone's last run.
Yeah.
If you don't at least get to the ALCS this year. I don't see him sticking around, man.
It's days like this that I miss George Steinbrenner.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
in front of the media, or he'd be going down to the clubhouse.
It'd be so great.
He'd leak things. It'd be amazing.
It really would be. ESPN graded every team's first half of the season so far. The Braves got a C+. I don't know if you saw this, JJ. The comment basically was like, look, all the moves that they made in the offseason have been great.
Yeah.
It's just they can't hit.
Yeah, the Sale signing was amazing. Ronaldo Lopez signing was amazing, or trade, whatever. But yeah, the bats are just destroyed. They have been coming back the last couple of nights.
Yes.
So they ended up tying the game late in the ninth a couple days ago after only scoring 1 run the whole game. But last night the bats were on fire. Duvall looks like he's sort of back. And they should have Michael Harris in a week or two coming back. So
he had the Jaguars lower than I would have had them. He had them 16th. I think they should be somewhere around 11th. Again, I like the versatility that the offense has with Christian Kirk, Etienne, Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas. So interesting going through it. He had Houston 4, the Jaguars 16th, the Titans 19th, and the Colts 22nd. Again, it was a list that didn't take into consideration how strong your quarterback is, but it was interesting. I encourage you to go read it if you didn't see it. And we talked a little bit about FSU possibly to the Big 12. That'd be a huge win for the Big 12. I think it would be a big loss for Florida State. I don't anticipate that happening. I still think Florida State leaves the ACC and goes to the Big 10. Folks, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Into the Night with Rick Ballou is up next. For JJ LaSelva, the vacationing Frank Frangie, I am Hays Carlyon. Good night.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Well, I can't believe Sir Stephen's about my life.
Dan Hicken.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Mornings on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Now, any good lineup needs power. When I needed a power connection for our new Walk-Off Charities baseball park, I found the perfect partner in Ricketts Electric. You're going to love these guys, I'm telling you. The Ricketts family has been providing commercial and residential electric service for years. So call my buddy Zach Ricketts today at 904-320-5960, and you can find them on Facebook as well. You will trust them. That's Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them today at 320-5960.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
It's all about the beautiful game. The Sporting Jack Soccer Hour. From national teams to youth soccer on the First Coast. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley for Soccer Talk. Monday evenings on 1010 a.m.